Super Bug.
Welcome back everyone to another NRG, this time on the ZX Spectrum with Capcom's beat-em-up classic Final Fight. And like I said in my previous video about Final Fight on the Amstrad CPC, very ambitious to bring this kind of game to the 8-bits and not entirely successful, I must add. We do have a nice intro music here, I've got to admit, that's the same intro music that you get on the Amstrad CPC version actually. Obviously, graphically we are a lot more limited on the Spectrum, but there are subtle differences in the gameplay as well. I mean, the gameplay on the Amstrad is decidedly dodgy and shoddy at the best of times and extremely slow as well. So we're going to examine the gameplay of the Spectrum version. We can't just sort of brush the graphics aside really. That's horrible, by the way. Oh, I mean the picture of the sunset with on the Amstrad version is much better than that of Hager in his office. That is horrible. Really awful colour choices there. I don't like that at all. Anyway, at least the tune is nice. There's one thing we can all take away from this version of the game, is that the tune is nice. Of course, this was released by Capcom in 1989 on the arcade to much aplomb, should I say, much a big hoo-ha. You know, kind of the spiritual rival to Streets of Rage from Sega. And of course, Final Fight was originally supposed to be a Street Fighter game as well, of course, if you know the lore of Final Fight. But it's about Mr. Mayor Hager himself, the ex-wrestler, and a couple of his son-in-law, or should I say to-be son-in-law Cody, and his mate Guy go and beat up the Mad Gang, Mad Gears, or Mad Gear in some versions of the game. There's Cody, utterly useless in this version of the game, and his Guy, utterly useless in this version of the game. In fact, in all 8-bit versions of the game, Cody and Guy are pretty useless to even use. They don't have any throw moves, their punch range is terrible, their hit detection is even worse than Hager's. You can literally only play this game on the 8-bits with Hager, so we're going to play as Hager. And off we go. And we see what kind of mess we're getting into here. It's yellow. It's all yellow. Right, okay. So I'm playing this on keys because for some reason can't configure it to the joystick. Give him a pile driver straight away. It's the only way you can get through this game is by giving the enemies pile drivers. So there's some strange sort of weird control things going on in this Spectrum version. So I'll show you that later on. When you press forward and then when you press right and then press left or vice versa, for some reason the character seems to climb up the wall for some reason. Not sure why. Let's try and get some of these guys. Now I do like the detail in some of the sprites, I've got to admit. And the detail in some of the sprites is very nice in fact. And the backgrounds are very nice in fact, albeit in monochrome, but very nicely detailed, nicely drawn. It's very, very familiar to be Final Fight. Unfortunately, we are suffering from all the same hallmarks that the Amstrad suffered from. It's very slow, the scrolling is very jerky. There's a lot more vertical movement on the Spectrum, I noticed. But there we go, see the vertical scroll, there's a lot more vertical scroll on this version of the game, which is interesting. They've gone for that. Okay, the detail on the graphics is really, really lovely, and especially some of the Hollywood there, particularly nicely drawn. But the movement is shocking. The frames of animation are terrible, much like the Amstrad version. But I think it's worse, and I'll tell you why it's worse, because it's actually even more impossible to play. Apart from the graphics being in monochrome, which is not really the biggest of deals, and hardly any sound, of course, and the slowness of it all. The lag is even worse. The lag is so bad it's almost impossible to play. You've also got this pause in controls. When you stop doing a move, there's this stop in controls where nothing seems to respond, and you've got to like tap up and down to move anywhere. And in the meantime, you'll get hit. The flying kick is quite smooth. I've got to give it that. That's a smoother anyway, should we say? The grabbing hold of enemies is even more difficult in the Spectrum version. It seems you can grab hold of enemies relatively with ease in the Amstrad version. In this, yeah, you can't at all. And activating your special move is also very hit and miss. Sometimes that'll work, and sometimes I tried my special move there. It didn't work at all. And then instead, I picked up Bilbo instead. Didn't mean to do that. I'm trying to do the special move there. Right, let's just punch this guy instead. Sometimes the punching, you can get a sequence in the punching where it actually works and you get 3 hits in a row and you don't get that lag, which is nice, but it's just the inconsistency of it. Oh, there we go, did the special move. The inconsistency in it all is absolutely just appalling and dreadful. And of course, being in all the same colours, when you get lots of sprites together, you only get ever 3 sprites on screen at any one time anyway, but when you get all 3 bunched together, it just becomes a big mess and you can't see what you're doing, where you are, who's punching who. The hitbox detection is absolutely appalling. Yes, there we go. Right, so I just pressed right there while moving left. While moving right, I just pressed left and somehow managed to boost up in the air. I don't know whether that was on the original hardware version, or maybe that is an emulator issue. I doubt it. I think that's just a coding error. Okay. There's more enemies here. Okay, see, I tried to grab him there, that didn't work. And try another flying kick. It's very difficult to actually get consistent flying kicks up because I might just pause in proceedings. See, there we go. Oh, see, I got some nice punches together there, but that was a rarity. Yeah, there we go, got kicked in the face. And I'm punching him. I'm standing right in front of the guy and I'm punching away and nothing happens. Terrible. It's so inconsistent, so random. It's almost like the hit detection is completely randomized. There is techniques you can do with Haga to try and get through the game, and that is to try and grab as many as possible and pile drive them. That's the only way you can do it. This is why it's impossible to play with the other 2 characters, because you cannot punch them consistently. You can fly and kick them consistently, but the damage is not very heavy, so you would take so long and just run out of time doing that. Oh, they seem to have jumped off screen now. Are they still around? Yeah, they're still around. I thought they'd just fallen out of screen there. That was weird. We've got them there with the flying kick. Good. Okay, we'll get to the end of level 1, and I think that's as much as I can stomach. I know that if you go on to other levels, the colour scheme changes, so I think the second level is in black and white, which maybe is a little bit better than the yellow, and maybe. I'm not sure why they even need to bother changing the colour scheme, to be honest. Maybe a variety's sake, but using weapons is, yeah, again, just as terrible as trying to punch. In fact, punching is easier than using weapons. Sometimes weapons just completely miss. You'll be whacking away and nothing happens. Again, you can't get a sequence of hits. Sometimes you'll hit, you'll connect that hit, and you'll just stop. And you're hammering away at the buttons and nothing's happening. So watch this. I'm going to move right, and then I'm going to press left, and look what happens. Whee! I'm not jumping. I'm not pressing jump. I'm just climbing up the walls there. It looks like I'm jumping, but I'm not. Promise you that I'm not pressing jump. I am not pressing jump to do that. I'm just walking along, pressing left, and he just scales up in the air. Like that. That is just odd. I don't know what that's all about. So I'm going to try and hit someone. Try and hit Bread. It says Bread there, doesn't it? It's Brad, isn't it? But apparently his name's Bread. It could be Bread, I can't remember now. But there, I got him in the back. Sanders got smacked in the back. Trying to punch him and didn't get punched. But him somehow is managing to punch me. And we're on the same plane. We're on the same plane, right. See, I got 2 hits in there and then I got smacked. No, because it just stopped doing it. I was pressing the buttons and nothing happened. 1, 2, yes. Even though technically I shouldn't have hit him because he was actually standing in front of me. Or standing on a different axis to me. Here he comes, old Damned. I think he's got about 3 frames of action. The old boss. Demon, Damned, Damned. That's how you're supposed to pronounce it, isn't it? Nice little animation on the pile driver, I got to admit. But yeah, this is not good. It's very, very difficult, frustrating as hell to play. Like I say, it's ambitious what they tried to do. It's ambitious to bring this kind of high quality game to the 8-bits, and you've got to take your hats off to at least trying. And graphically, they are quite kind of nice. I mean, the Amstrad version is nice and colourful, and it's got detailed sprites. This has got very detailed sprites, and it is unmistakably Final Fight. But you just can't play it. It's so impossible to play, and random, whether you're going to get anywhere. Look, what's going on there? That's a mess there. What was that? Utter mess. I'm going to try and get him in a pile driver again. Get in the pile driver. No, got smacked. Give him a pile driver here. Yep. No. Yep. Got him, and that should be dead. Final Fight on the ZX Spectrum, 1991. I'm afraid don't bother. Novabug, out.